Welcome everyone, Dr. Thor here, and welcome to Gnosis, otherwise understood as wisdom or truth. Let's talk about why Bruce Lee didn't get the part of Kung Fu in the TV series. Well, this is laid out very precisely from the people involved in that process. And people want to come up with a lot of racism. They don't want him in there. Of course, this is nonsense. That's further proven by the fact that before that, he was hired in the Green Hornet, a show that flopped. Why was he hired for the Green Hornet if there was such racism in Hollywood and that was such a great thing that everybody wanted to see martial arts? Well, I'll get into that in a minute. But in the commentaries, the bonus footage or discussions in the purchased, and probably a lot of people don't purchase DVDs when you should be to support the projects, the producer, the person who was behind that entire show, talks about why he didn't hire Bruce Lee and goes into every detail of it. That show also had, I believe it was Raymond Chow, as a technical advisor. So here again, it wasn't seen to be very much racism. But let's get into really what happened there. Why did Lee get the job of Kato? Well, we'll tell you why in a minute. Well, first of all, the producer goes into that, and he talks about meeting Bruce Lee, who came in and apparently did some karate stuff that kind of freaked him out to begin with. But the other thing is that in a time where action stars were seen as kind of bigger guys, this guy kind of laughed at him. He called him Little Bruce Lee. And Little Bruce Lee at the time of his death was 127 pounds. He is not tiny per se, but certainly he's Tom Cruise size. 5'7". I don't know, Tom Cruise 5'6"? So the point is that in this day and age, and even back then, 5'7" or 6 was considered pretty small. Or we could say Van Damme size, who's another little small Frenchman or Belgian. So the whole idea is that we need to understand this reality that's going on. So he was not very impressive in person. But what really cinched the non-deal for him, why he really didn't get the part? Well, was it the fact that he spent too much time in cha-cha class and watching General Hospital? Could be. That was time that should have been spent in English class. The plain and simple fact is the producer couldn't understand half of what he was told by Lee because Lee had the typical horrific Chinese problem with pronunciating basic English, even though, ironically, the China he came from, I should say relocated to, after his birth in San Francisco, was a British Commonwealth at the time. And English is spoken there and easy to find English classes and people who spoke British English. He didn't. He didn't speak it well, and that's what lost him the part. Why was he given the part as the Green Hornet's sidekick, Kato? Because he didn't say anything. Plain and simple. But it certainly had nothing to do with racism, because you don't put a guy on national TV, which is a mega industry in the 1970s, when nobody can understand what he's saying. Put that in your pipe and smoke it, people out there. This guy is not a genius. He should have spent time, instead of cha-chaing and watching General Hospital, getting taught English, so he could really get ahead. He couldn't get ahead, and he would have never gotten ahead because he never spoke English well, and he would have never been taken seriously in Hollywood or any other place, even if he did live. And there's long stories to that as well, people. The fact that he hurt his back to a point where he ruined his life and career doing show-off moves of strength, which has absolutely nothing to do with martial arts. He pulled his back, and people thought he would never operate again. He was in horrible pain, probably taking all kinds of drugs, and who knows what really happened in the end there if that wasn't almost a deliberate situation on his part. Point is, his career was over with. He hurt himself because he wanted to show Hollywood egotistical strength feats, which he couldn't do with his tiny little body and muscle structure, and he destroyed his back. Again, If he would have spent more time in English class, we wouldn't have this problem. That goes for anybody. Even his voice in those movies was not his American English voice. He was dubbed in his great movies, Enter the Goofball and the rest of them, those trashy little crappy Chinese movies, was dubbed by someone else. And they usually use Australians to speak the English part. Certainly, he didn't dub his own, because he couldn't speak English where anybody would understand him. That's the facts, people. Remember, everyone, there is no reality until the manifesting scientist creates it. Until next time.